Okay, that could be fun speculative biology for us, is trying to create the ultimate space test animal. Something something that has the trainability of dogs, the human analog aspect of monkeys and chimps,
The life cycle of a rat.
the dissectability of a rat too.
I have dissected a rat, actually.
Recreationally, or just,
No, it was for college. It was for a vertebrate biology course. So we started with a lamprey, and then we worked our way up through the fishes to tetrapods to a rat.
I know that there's probably way more to that, but whenever I hear like a vertebrate biology class and dissections, I'm mostly imagining just like cutting them open, spine, check, moving on.
I used to know the names of all the exterior muscles on a rat. No more. It's left me. But
damn it. And people say school doesn't prepare you for life.
I know, right? I can look at any rat and go, yes, I know those muscles.
Yes, that is a rat.
Look at how ripped that rat is.
I am my number one rat identifier.
It just made me remember the rat mood chart.
I love the rat mood chart so much. I love like emotional diagrams.
Is that just the forward back, like how far it's leaning one way or another?
It's kind of true.
Okay.
It is in fact a way to tell like how the rat is feeling. I love seeing emotional diagrams, and specifically you'll see like pain diagrams for different expressions animals make when they're in pain. Because when we vaccinate an animal, it hurts. So we can tell when the animal is experiencing pain, and we go, okay, it does, like especially for mammals, they'll like the eyes will tighten, they'll scrunch their face, they'll push their ears back. So we can verify what the animal is feeling based on its facial expression. This sort of thing's very interesting to me.
I gotta learn more about that, and like the next time I go in for like a flu shot or something, every time I get a different shot, I want to try exhibiting a different mammal's pain reactions and just seeing if the nurse picks up on it.
You already do. You already do this unthinkingly. You are a mammal.
I know, but I do the human one. I want to mix this up a bit. I want to see if I can like fold my ears back.
Well,
I want to exhibit however a rat experiences pain and just, see if they pick up on it.
Can you wiggle your ears?
I can try. I mean, not by themselves, but like mechanically, I could. We can rig something up.
I can wiggle my ears, but the way you do it is you're contracting a muscle that like goes over the back of your skull. That's a lot more developed on mammals that actually can like significantly move their ears.
Damn it.
Sorry,
know.
Quinn, you
it's
can't
so
go
sad.
airplane mode.
We had a pretty large bang associated with the caution and warning now. Okay, as we have an apparent serious oxygen leak.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we've had a problem. He's in a roll and he can't stop it. Performing an evasive maneuver.
Welcome to space.
Hello, listener, and welcome to Failure to Launch, the space history podcast where we take you through all the mistakes, failures, and explosions that made modern space exploration possible. We are your hosts, Quinn, he, him.
Chris, he, him.
Jay, Eaton, they, them.
And a copacetic Chris, he, him.
And today, we're talking speculative biology and the 2005 Discovery documentary Alien Planet. Now, as you heard, we have got a guest. Jay Eaton is an artist with experience in evolutionary biology who has melded those interests into the hard sci-fi graphic novel Runaway to the Stars, which I am personally a big fan of. Also, they are big into the speculative biology scene, or basically explorations of what alien life could look like if it evolved on other planets. Jay, thank you for coming on the show.
It's great to be here. Fuck.
Listen, this does not need to be scripted. We're keeping that. this is your first podcast guesting,
I've
correct?
never been on a podcast before. I'm very nervous.
Yeah. Cut them some slack, listener.
It's fine. We're all a soup like homogenate goo in the end.
Yeah.
It's true. I make a web comic called Runaway to the Stars. It's about Talita, an alien who is raised by humans, and now she's 3 meters tall and has anxiety.
Chris, it's you.
Oh, Chris is 3 meters tall. Oh, you also have difficulty fitting through doorways and interfacing with basic human technology.
And anxiety. And yeah, like, I'm a really big fan of the comic. We actually got recommended it by some people in the server. And then this collaboration kind of spun out of that. And yeah, like your work, I really enjoy that it's like a good story, but it's also tied in with clearly a whole lot of world building and understanding and thinking about like the biology and the speculative biology of like how could life evolve on an alien planet under completely different circumstances to Earth.
Yeah, I'm a nerd who compulsively wants to know how everything works. I used to do fantasy settings, but I ended up trying to make magic into a novel system of physics. So I think hard sci-fi is a better fit for me as a writer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like trying to figure out how the different aliens would work and then kind of like snowballing from there about how their culture and society fits together. And then once you do that, you can go, well, if this is the normal, I can make a little freak who doesn't fit in. And the audience will love that. And I will love that. I love a little freak who doesn't fit in. So that's what all my characters are.
I was going to say a little freak that does, like, singular. Every single character in that cast is a misfit
they're my
who
island
doesn't
of
fit
misfit toys. But yeah, because I also I hate drawing things that I don't know how they work. Even though my area of expertise is biology, I've ended up doing a lot of research about aerospace and like speculative technology and rocket science in order to design some things in the setting, like the ground to orbit system on Dirtball, which is it's not its technical name, but it's what the employees at the recycling plant call it because it's like a shitty exoplanet with nothing on it except a company town. They have a launch loop, which is an active system that has rotors running all the way down its length, and it's like 2,000 kilometers long. But it's basically a monorail to lower orbit, and then from there things can get picked up by a skyhook and flung into upper orbit. And they have a Gazinta and a Gozauta of cargo.
And that is a good point because, like, those different kinds of methods, whether it be, like a launch rail, there's also, like
The Lofstrom loop.
Yeah, that's what the launch loop is.
I don't know if you have like other locations that have like mass drivers, but there are all of these, actual speculated, not built, but theoretically possible ways of getting stuff into orbit much better than just chemical rockets.
Yeah, you just have to make expensive infrastructure, which governments love to do.
Never allergic towards.
It does kind of suck that the closest historically that we have come to having another way of getting into orbit other than chemical rockets was Gerald Bull working for Saddam Hussein and then very, very probably getting assassinated by the Mossad.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't think those bullets were a pre-existing condition, believe it or not.
Oh, fuck. I should probably plug my Kickstarter like I'm supposed to. I hate doing marketing. But yes, anyways, I draw a webcomic, which you can read at runawaytothestars.com.
Whoa.
But as much as I love sharing things for free, printing thousands of books costs a bit more money, much like building a launch loop. So we are running a Kickstarter for the initial print run. That's happening in April. You can go to the link in the description to sign up to be notified when the Kickstarter goes live.
Do it, listener. Do it.
That'll actually be the current month when this podcast goes up. So this month.
I will leave a pause
soon.
right now, listener. You have enough time. Go click on it. Go click on it. There's a 2-minute pause before the content. What are you going to do? Skip it? No. Don't.
Think on your sins.
Buy my book.
Now, as we get into this episode, because we have got a speculative biology person on, or spec bio, I know the lingo.
Uh-huh. Or Spec Evo.
I figured it'd be fun to go over something that lodged in my brain in early childhood and has since refused to budge, which is the 2005 Discovery Channel documentary Alien Planet, which is itself an adaptation of author Wayne Barlow's 1990 book Expedition, which, Jay, you have on hand.
I'm holding it. It's the original printing from 1990. I could make book noises on camera. There we go.
Whoa. There's no way that can be faked. Sounds
never.
are unique to books.
It's true.
Sounds are unique to books.
Yeah, that's what audiobooks are, Chris. Come on, man. But correct me if I'm wrong here. While Barlow wrote his book to like deliberately make the natives of the planet Darwin 4 as alien as possible, he did not go at this book with a full like, this is how life is going to be. This is like super researched, and this is what I'm confident evolution is going to be.
Well, the thing about science fiction is that it's never actually predictions of the future. You take a bunch of things you like, and you try and fit them into a narrative that lets you explore them as a speculative subject. Like my comic is not a prediction of the future, because first of all, there's several things I'm cheating at, like faster than light, because my actual prediction of the future is that we'll never meet aliens because space is too big. So yeah, there's a bunch of things in this book that as like a creator, I can definitely look at and go, oh, you have this mostly because this is what you like to think about, and this is what you like to draw.
Right.
And here's your excuses for it. And they're all right excuses. But yeah, I could nitpick endlessly, but I do love this book. It is in fact the badge design from Expedition is my only tattoo.
Oh, cool.
It's on my ankle. So yes, I'm a verified fan. Now I'm going to rip it apart, as a fan does.
Well, no, you are not ripping Expedition apart. Let's be clear about that.
Yeah, I'm not going to be
ripping apart a Discovery documentary that is kind of here to tell us that actually, no, this is all realistic and it could happen, including the jet engine flyers.
Yeah, I'm also interested to talk about some of the differences between it and the book. But yes, the mockumentary is interesting, and we will be focusing on that.
So the main conceit of this story is that the starship Von Braun, named after Nazi collaborator, well, not even Nazi collaborator, just flat out Nazi SS officer.
Genuine Nazi.
Yeah, no collaboration going on. Dude was in the party. Werner von Braun, hooray. And it has been sent on a 42-year mission to the planet Darwin 4 in search of light. Light, fuck.
We're starting strong.
This planet is written as being, I think, like 6.5 light years away, and they get the ship up to 20% of the speed of light in order to get there in 42 years. There is no explanation of how this can be done, because getting to 2%, getting to 0.2 C would be a wild technological achievement.
Yeah, it's pretty fast.
Especially because whenever we see the ship, it just kind of has chemical rockets on it.
And then it just burns to a stop. How quickly?
Yeah, like...
Don't worry about it. What do you mean breaking? Don't
worry. Don't worry, we just tapped the brakes in the parking lot and we're good.
Friction took care of it.
Well, they do have the asteroid shield, or the little space debris shield, although space debris moving at, 0.2 or higher C would probably punch through anything made by man.
And create some funny exotic particles.
Yeah, at that point, gas molecules are bullets, so like...
Are abrading, yeah. But we also, as this is going on, as the movie is starting, we are getting a kind of view of our talking heads. And I did want to talk about this because we had a discussion on how irrelevant some of these people are to what's being discussed, but also how you can very clearly see who the famous ones are based on where they are in the movie and who the directors want you to see first. Because right off the bat, they've got a star-studded cast for this thing of early 2000s, mid-aughts Discovery talking heads. The only guy missing is Neil deGrasse Tyson, and although I'm not even sure if he was super famous by 2005. We got Michio Kaku, we got Stephen Hawking, we got biologist Jack Horner, we've got the ex-administrator, or I believe he was the chief scientist of NASA, James Garvin, and we got George Lucas for some reason. And they're all just here. None of them are here to offer actual, like, topics of relevance to the animals or the biology being discussed. They are all just here to give kind of vaguely pseudo-philosophical of just kind of like, you know, like, if we get out there and we explore and we find stuff, then that'll mean something, you know?
Yeah.
At the end, George Lucas just keeps repeating, like, it's great to be alive. Oh, it's a great time to be alive.
Which has nothing to do with the mockumentary,
It's like,
really.
I'm not disagreeing. Yeah, like, I felt a little better hearing it, but... However, in the middle of the documentary for the content, they've just got a couple of, like, actual biology professors who have very clearly just been thrown to the wolves with this.
Oh, absolutely. They're all like, it seems like they watched it like 5 minutes ago and then had a mic pointed at them to make some sort of commentary on it. So they're like kind of vaguely trying to gas up the material and say like, hey,
Yeah.
this is how this could work, I guess. This reminds me of this.
They're all trying to be very polite.
This is very unusual, etc.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like, well, you know, it's an interesting idea.
The tone of these talking heads is always so strange in mockumentaries because it feels like they can't decide whether the experts they're talking to are in the fiction or outside of the fiction. I would prefer if they were all like kind of told to be actors within the fiction of the short and be like, yeah, this is our expedition that we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because it would at least be less confused and maybe more fun for them.
Especially because, like, there will be some animals where one biologist will say, like, wow, this is, like, such an interesting idea. I could definitely see this. And the next guy will just be like, completely never could possibly evolve. It's dumb and I hate it.
In nicer words.
Actively
but yeah.
letting a cigarette offset to try and just not say something.
Yeah, just like sitting back in his chair, taking a drag on a dart and just like, all right, what do you got next for me? All right, we got like a jet engine? Hell yeah, all right.
We've got a one-legged animal? Okay.
I hate the two-legged animals so much. We'll get into it.
Oh, the gyro sprinters. I love the gyro
I
sprinters.
hate
They're a very cool concept, but I have
Yes.
questions.
Do you want a biological motorcycle?
That exact terminology is how every one of these biologists, like, very diplomatically puts it, like, oh, hey, that's a cool idea. So basically, we see this ship arrive in orbit and it deploys a bunch of satellites. Like, it's got the main ship that has these probes on it. It deploys a communications satellite. It deploys, like, a ground observation satellite. And the ship, we don't get stats on it, but it is said to have its own AI because light is going to take 6.5 years to get back. The spacecraft needs to be able to control and make decisions for itself. The entirety of this expedition, like of this mission on Darwin 4, will happen and finish before the first light even reaches Earth.
The first casualty happens before the signal can leave the system.
Oh no, Balboa. Yes, so one of the probes is sent out. It is named Balboa. All of these probes, there's 3 of them, they are named after different famous, like, scientists and explorers. So this one is named after Vasco Nunez de Balboa, and not Rocky Balboa like I first assumed. They don't actually say it in the movie.
Huh.
And I did like these spacecraft. They're kind of like lifting bodies, which were very much a big thing in the 2000s. It was all the hype with NASA of, like, how are we going to land on atmospheric planets? We'll have a kind of, like, it looks like a stumpy kind of blended plane. Anyway, Balboa dies.
Yeah, he gets intercepted by the Darwin ground-based mid-course defense.
Yeah, something goes wrong with his probe. Whenever it deploys, we see that, like, one of the wingtips, for some reason, the wingtips fold on the thing like it's on an aircraft carrier. One of them fails to deploy, and so his entire probe detonates on re-entry.
Yeah, that's a rip.
Tragic.
And the movie will never say this, but I think it makes it pretty clear. It kills a person in doing so. Like a thinking person.
It kills a child.
It kills a preschooler.
Yeah, so the way they describe the intelligence of the probes is that they compare it to the intelligence of a 3-year-old child, which I think what they're trying to say is, like, here's, like, a vaguely equivalent, like reasoning body.
Right.
But it does kind of make it weird that they sent a bunch of, like, 3-year-olds on this space mission.
And they follow it up. I've got this drop here.
The Darwin mission now depends on just 2 intrepid probes with the intelligence of preschoolers.
I want to be clear that I am not saying that they are literally actually preschoolers or that they actually act like 4-year-olds. But if something has the intelligence of a preschooler, I will put my flag in the ground and say, like, all right, I think a preschooler qualifies as a person, and I think anything with the reasoning ability of a preschooler also qualifies as a person.
Yeah, it does make me wonder what they were doing on the trip over. Did they have a Roblox server, or how are they keeping these drones entertained?
No, just watching Balboa has logged off for the final time
after crashing into the planet's surface,
having to maintain his home in Minecraft as a tribute.
Me working at the mega corporate torment nexus and specifically designing my artificial intelligences to have sapience and then making it so that they aren't dormant during their travel to their destination.
Just 42 years in Roblox.
Yeah, but you should see what they built.
42 years in Werner von Braun's Roblox server.
Yeah, all administered by an AI that has been programmed with the mind of SS officer Werner von Braun.
We put these kids in the torment nexus, y'all.
This movie would have been so improved if there was just like a chat, like a text chat on the side of Ike and Leo sending each other messages. Like if that had just been scrolling on the sidebar the whole time, like, yo, bro, look at this fucked up animal I found. And then Leo has logged off.
I don't want to be too much going like, well, in the book, it's different. But the setup in the book is very different. First of all, the spacecraft is not named after a Nazi scientist.
Damn it.
I know, such a shame. But also, they don't send drones. They send guys who explore the planet in these like levitating cones with a panoramic window. And the book is written from the perspective of one of those guys. Also, they jump there with faster than light because they have the help of a benevolent alien race, humanity that is. And also, Earth is ruined by pollution. So the planet they're visiting is like a symbol of like an untouched like natural landscape. You can like,
so we're gonna move there.
You can carbon date this book based on how they talk about environmentalism, because pollution was the buzzword in the 80s. Think of like, you know, Captain Planet villains dumping green goo into the ocean.
Oh yeah.
And meanwhile, the buzzwords have moved on to things like microplastics
and like climate change more than you know, landfills and stuff. Yeah.
Climate change hadn't really gotten on the scene yet by when this book was being written.
And I do love the idea of like humanity having access to the incredible technology of a benevolent race. I think I looked it up and I think it's like the EMA who give it to humanity.
Yeah, YMA.
And it's just like, all right, here's faster than light, and we're just using it to like, just go explore some planets. I'm sure it's being used for other things within the setting, but like, it feels like if we found godlike benevolent aliens, they could help us with a couple of things first. But yeah, so with Balboa dead and permanently logged off of the Cocomelon website that he's been watching for 42 years... Maybe it's better that like some of these probes die, because I'm sure that they are the most fucked up 4-year-olds to ever exist.
The 42-year-old Cocomelon kid.
Preschooler.
Oh, that's vile. Let's get off that.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
You thought iPad kids were bad.
They launch more probes. Yeah, these are the first iPad kids. They are kids on iPads, literally. And they launched 2 more probes. One of these is named Leo and one of them is named Ike. They're named after Leonardo da Vinci and Isaac Newton, respectively. And I do like this. They describe early on that the probes have personalities, that they have deliberately, and there is some interesting engineering and like merit behind this, but they have programmed Leo to be reckless and like just constantly take risks with his own life. And they have programmed Ike to be a plant-loving coward. And this is just going to let them like, so, like, you know, Leo might take a risk and he might find something that Ike wouldn't. It is an interesting way of actually potentially getting more data, but I did just love it as like, all right, we're going to make this one dumb.
As a plant lover,
yeah.
I do feel a little insulted. But
I'm sorry. Well, I said he was a
do-
plant-loving coward. Those are two separate factors.
Of
Him
course,
being
the
a
plant lover
coward
is
and
a
him loving
coward.
plants are entirely different axes. Also, it's not depicted in the movie. The dude flies into spike forests nonstop.
I noted that he's
Yeah, despite having a bag of gas.
He gets right up there with a dagger wrist. There's one scene I only saw in the second rewatch where a dagger wrist, like, he gets right up close to it and it juts its, like, teeth at him, and he has to jump away before he gets punctured. Getting punctured here, these probes they deploy, they are blimps, basically. They kind of have, like, a big hydrogen gas bag that they replenish with, I believe they say there's algae. So among other things, we have brought Earth organisms to this planet. If either of these probes die, if anything from Balboa made it to the ground, we have permanently contaminated Darwin 4 with Earth-based life.
we've tainted it. Fantastic.
Yes.
I love permanently contaminating Darwin 4 with Earth-based
Hell
life.
yeah.
Which we do in this.
Oh god, what if we found out this mission was actually being run by Roscosmos?
Well, shit.
Russia's space agency, for context, with legendarily bad quality control.
Marvelous.
Yeah. So yeah, these probes are they're blimps. They fly around. They describe them as bird-like heads. They're not. They're freaky masks on really long, spindly necks.
Yeah, they have skull-like faces, which is a weird
Yes.
choice. I can think of a dozen ways to give them like a cuter face. Like a bird-like face would be cuter. Or just like something a little less uncanny valley, but
Yeah.
this is strange. The rest of them's kind of shaped like a whale.
Kind of, yeah, because they've got the gas bag, but then they have both fins for like moving around in the air. Darwin 4 is described as having, I believe, less gravity and a very thick atmosphere. So things getting around flying is a lot more tenable than on Earth. And yeah, they've got like a tail for stability and whatnot. They can deploy these camera drones. They have little spiders that crawl around, and they have these flying disc drones. And keep those in mind because they will be important for the plot.
My beautiful flying tadpole full of other creatures.
Oh, also, I do just want to keep a running amount of these as I go. I do have Michio Kaku just drops anytime he shows up. So after the landing, he gives us this.
The conditions for life are extremely rare. For example, you need a large moon to stabilize the orbit of the Earth, or else the Earth tumbles in its orbit. You need a large Jupiter to clean out the comets and meteors of the solar system. You have to have so many Goldilocks zones.
You don't know that those are required for life. You don't, that's just how we evolved. This is just like the Douglas Adams of like, well, the puddle thinks that this puddle-shaped hole is perfect for it.
Because it doesn't know anything else. Yeah.
We simply must go and drink from the puddle until it's empty, and then we can know its true shape.
Only then. So, is this consistent from the book? Because I'm pretty sure all life on Darwin 4 in this movie, like nothing has eyes. Everything sees through sonar and echolocation.
It is consistent with the book, but something they don't mention in the TV special, I think I might be wrong, is that they are also they have heat pits, so they are sensing infrared. But no, nothing on the planet has true eyes.
Okay.
Which is an interesting choice. It certainly goes a long way towards making all of the animals look very alien because they don't really have a real face that our human brains can fixate on. But also, my nitpick is that eyes are very easy to evolve. There are like single-celled bacteria or single-celled like microorganisms, not bacteria, that have an eye spot that they use to detect changes in light because it's so handy. And then once you already have this organ, there's no reason to not dump more resources into it because it's so handy. The book says that there was a situation where the life that was using sonar and infrared receptors was outcompeted the eyed life, but
Okay.
eyes have evolved independently many times. So that's my nitpick. My nitpick with the sonar also as an issue is that sonar is terrible for being sneaky, which is very handy for many, many forms of life, because when you ping, you are loudly announcing where you are to everyone who can hear you.
And the flip side of that is you can be detected further than you can detect something else.
Oh yeah, like all the prey animals are just constantly pinging out, here I am, here I am.
And the predators too, it's hard to ambush something if you've just yelled to see it.
Hey you, stay right there, I'll be over in a second.
Me and my friends 20 feet away from another group. Okay, we're gonna jump them on the count of 3, right?
Wait, 3 or go? Are we going on 1 or go? Us trying to do a clap sync after getting back to this show.
That was fucking rough.
And you do make a good point, because something is stalking them, and something is going to be stalking them. Like, as soon as they land, there is an organism stalking them, sending out sonar pings that is behind whatever ridge is nearby, and it always stays out of sight. And neither Leo or Ike ever get curious about the very clear thing that is stalking them.
And it's always said, they have, the 360-degree sensors, and they're constantly
radar.
scanning. Yeah.
They have side-mounted radar.
Meanwhile, the goobers are just poking their heads over the cliff, staring, and then pulling back.
And I do like this next scene. I like this anytime it happens where, Leo goes over and they're talking about how, we might only find microorganisms. Leo takes a sample of a nearby puddle and sees like nematodes and all kinds of tiny little water critters in it.
That was funny because it was stock footage, so I was like, oh, look, a rotifer. I love rotifers.
But then he does the thing where he pans up his head and he sees that there is a giant T-Rex that is also drinking from the exact same puddle, like 5 feet away from him. And this is what is called an arrow tongue, we are told. It has a giant, like, arrowhead-shaped head, and it has a long, spearing red tongue coming off of that it does use to try and, like, threaten the probes. And yeah, it's described as being the size of a T-Rex. Even though nothing can see on this planet, nothing has eyes, practically everything has bioluminescence, and they all do little threat displays of like showing off their colorful spots that no one can see.
So this is something I was reviewing the book again, and it says that those bioluminescent spots are supposed to be emitting infrared as well, which is okay. Can I go on a rant about infrared briefly?
Yes, do it.
So I wanted to have aliens that could see infrared. So I researched this, and I discovered a key problem with seeing infrared, which is that you have to have a cold thing to pick up infrared accurately, because if you are warm, you are emitting infrared radiation. So it's really difficult to see if you're glowing. So like there's a problem with being a warm life form where you have to keep the sensor cold enough to actually like get an accurate image, which is why in animals with heat pits, they tend to have a thin membrane that they can aspirate over to cool it so they can get a better idea of heat radiation. But even then, they aren't really sensing infrared because infrared is hard to pick up. It's very low energy, so it's easier to sense it indirectly through heat patterns, but those aren't nearly as fast as light. It's not great if you are a large cursorial animal. That means like you run around like a T-Rex.
Just blasting heat into the environment.
You need a fast updating image of your surroundings, which sonar can do, but again, you're announcing yourself. And if you're an ambush predator, that's bad.
We also find out that it's apparently an ambush and pursuit predator, because it kind of like does some threat displays at Ike and Leo, and they don't respond. They have a little holographic test that will tell if something is intelligent or not, and it obviously fails. It's a giant T-Rex. However, it sees a gyro sprinter nearby, and gyro sprinters are probably my pick for most scuffed animals on this planet. It looks like a deer, it looks like an antelope, except it has 2 legs. Except it also has, I've got a quote here from one of the biologists that they subjected this to.
Looking at the shoulder girdle and the hip girdle, it appears that this animal may have evolved from a 4-legged animal. It appears we have a fusion here of the forelimbs, a fusion of the hind limbs.
Truly extraordinary, something we would never predict.
Sure. Something we would never predict, aka
very diplomatic of just like, wow, cool. But yeah, like it's got hips and like shoulders, So it very clearly had 4 limbs, and then they just kind of like merged into 2. Oh, Paisley's getting closer. Paisley, go away. I'm podding.
Hi, kitty.
Oh my god, she's
Sweetie,
adorable.
Fuck off.
You're always so mean to her.
She's media trained. She
Of
knows when
course.
she needs to make her
No,
appearance.
that's my pop filter.
So limb fusion in large endoskeletal vertebrates is not something we really see. We've not really seen it on planet Earth. What's more common generally with animals is that they will either make a new pair of limbs from pre-existing anatomy, or they just have so many limbs and they've turned them into anything they want, like arthropods. So limbs fusing together, especially to make a less stable design, seems very unlikely. It certainly looks weird. It's a very interesting creature design. I just question whether something like this would ever evolve.
This thing falls over. It is cooked immediately.
At the same time, though, we say that, but gyro sprinters, I checked, are undefeated in this documentary. The arrow tongue is the size of a T-Rex, and it attempts to sprint after an antelope, and obviously it loses, because it is trying to outmaneuver this thing, and it, even in the documentary, they say it moves like a Mack truck. So it is unable to catch it. Later on, we see like a couple of other animals, pronghorns, try and do pack tactics against a single gyro sprinter. It outsmarts them too. So, I don't know what to tell you guys. You say it's a dumb design, but like scoreboard, 2-0.
Yeah, clearly it's thriving.
Yeah.
Michio-Kaku's scoreboard is the most perfect metric known to man.
Michio-Kaku is still trying to make sentient octopi.
I don't trust that at all.
Leave them alone.
I also have this drop purely because I am a child. Whenever they're talking about the arrow tongue.
Pegs its prey.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Anyway, after finding the arrow tongue, Ike and Leo, they go off and they find Balboa's charred corpse. So now the mission is down to just 2. I have no idea what Balboa's personality was going to be. Like the boring answer was it could be a middle ground between the 2. There's no explanation of what Balboa's job was going to be. Ike, who is colored yellow and is kind of the more safety conscious of the 2, his job is to look after plants. He's going to or plant-like organisms. Whereas Leo, the risk taker, he is programmed to find big animals. He's programmed to be a Chad and find the biggest animals he possibly can.
Yeah, we were going to have someone taking care of fauna, someone taking care of flora, and then someone taking care of megafauna.
Yeah. So at that point, the Von Braun's AI commands them to split up. So they kind of go off and do their own thing. And we follow Ike for a little bit. And this is another thing where immediately his personality of being cautious is disproven, because he flies into a forest, and that forest is covered in giant spikes. Every single tree has meter-long spikes coming out of it, like a rose stem. And he is just flying around that, and he encounters another animal called the trunk sucker.
What a name.
Yeah, and they make cute noises, and when they land on the trees, they make a little pancake noise.
I love splat.
Awesome, thank you.
These things look like stingrays, and they operate like woodpeckers. They just kind of fly between the trees. I didn't pick this up the first time through, but the dagger wrists, the predators for them, they have very long, dagger-like legs, because those punch into the trees and make holes that the sap flows out of. So it's kind of like a passive way of drawing in the prey.
Yeah.
Oh, that's neat.
So a dagger wrist will punch a bunch of holes in a tree, a trunk sucker will come in, and then the dagger wrist kills it.
The trunk sucker will suck the trunk.
Of course, yeah, and that's what it does. I know they got to keep things descriptive, but it would have been kind of funny to me if, in the course of this documentary, we saw all the different kinds, rufous woodpecker, pileated woodpecker, stuff like that, of just here are 12 varieties of trunk sucker.
I'm a turbo nerd. I would love that. My favorite animals in world building projects like this are the little inconspicuous ones that are not as crowd appeal as the gigantic T-Rex predator types. I like to know about the weird little pancakes that suck sap out of trees.
Yeah. So we then leave Ike and we go back to Leo, because Leo is on safari duty. And this does not go well for him. This goes very wrong very quick. So he finds a herd of what are called unths that are basically they basically act like buffalo. We see them having a little dominance fight between themselves. Leo tries to give them the intelligence check and they fail it. I don't know. As far as the animals, these ones seem more realistic, but also just kind of because they're boring. They're just kind of big. Imagine like a cow on two legs, and that's kind of your lot. I think they have bioluminescence. I think they can make like a bellowing sound with some like air bladders on their flanks. Similar to that, he then finds some bladder horns, which look kind of similar, except they're blue, and they have these big kind of like bioluminescent like growths on their faces, and they make this big trumpeting sound, and he sees two of them having a little turf war. Through all of this, he is being hunted. Both probes are constantly being hunted, and any single time, like you mentioned, it being a bad thing, like sonar giving you away. Within this story, every single creature on the planet of Darwin 4, regardless of species, all the way up to like the biggest things on the planet, there is a specific sonar call that they are all scared of. And as Leo is watching this little turf war between the bladderhorns, he hears that sound. Both of the bladderhorns sprint off, and then this preschooler gets ambushed and murdered.
Yeah, I believe the term is gets done dirty.
And I know he dies because they play an EKG flatline sound. There is a heart rate monitor going flatline in the background of this scene.
Another Roblox player down.
Dang. Logged off for good.
We'll let Von Braun and our other boy just post F in the chat and keep going.
Oh no. Yeah, so we got another dead kid.
What is this, Made in Abyss?
I don't think Leo sent out a camera drone, because like it's pretty clear early on. The thing is that the Sapiens are pissed. They don't like the camera drones. That triggers attacks from them. But I think Leo just kind of gets got.
Yeah, because they're investigating his corpse.
Yeah.
Or they're like, what's this thing? Let's kill it and find out.
Or they've already recognized. Like, I would love to see more explanation, because there's the Sapiens that track them all the way across the land. One of them follows Ike across the Amoeba Sea, but also they have a home territory that they will guard. So I'm not really certain on like the social structure here. Hello, listener, and welcome to the mid-reel ad. If you enjoy Failure to Launch, more bad space history, and you want to hear more of it more often, there is an option: the FTL Patreon. Signing up at any tier gets you access to monthly bonus episodes and Q&As, and joining an elevated tier gets you even more content, like Chris-narrated minisodes. If that sounds good, you can sign up at www.patreon.com/failure to launch. And now, back to the episode. But yeah, Ike, he goes back to exploring. He keeps exploring around the forest, and he encounters the dagger wrist, which is probably my favorite animal. This is like, imagine a giant gliding tree squirrel, except make it drawn by a 12-year, like a really, really messed up 12-year-old into like black metal. Because this thing has like knives for hands. It's got this like really fucked up head.
It's a bit Silent Hill.
It doesn't have a lower jaw. Yeah.
It does give some Silent Hill, you're right.
What does this represent about the guy in Silent Hill?
something circumcision?
Oh no.
Well, being teleported back to my botched circumcision.
Do you know about the Silent Hill wiki getting plagued by this guy who thought everything was a metaphor for circumcision?
What?
Oh no, I did not. That sounds awesome.
Never mind. I'm withdrawing my reference.
Listener, forget the Runaway to the Stars link. Click on the link that will be in the description to the Silent Hill wiki.
No, they removed all of his influence, I hope.
That would rule, though. Like, if I was making the game, I would then add a monster that was a reference to circumcision, just as like a nod to the fans.
Okay, so I've gone into,
Of course you have.
I've opened up a link. I've typed in Silent Hill wiki. The second suggested
is circumcision.
Does anyone remember the circumcision incident?
Isn't the whole bit about the circumcision incident like it's like the canonicity of circumcision in the Silent Hill universe or something?
That like whether or not the characters are circumcised?
Well, like if it's a metaphor for the traumatic experience of circumcision, I think
that would rule though. If I just had like one thing wrong with me, with like one obsession, and I just decided like, oh, I'm gonna make everything about this.
But to inflict it upon another populace.
We're getting off track. I was going to mention...
We need a power back to reality.
I was going to mention... So, the Daggerist doesn't have a real jaw, but it has a kind of a bony piece that fits into its cephalon, its head-like structure. A bit like a jaw, but it's also on a long limb, so it can move it out.
Yeah.
Most of the animals, the vertebrate animals on this planet, are liquivores, so they eat primarily liquids, kind of like a spider or a hemiopteran true bugs that have like sap-sucking mouth parts or blood-sucking mouth parts, like bed bugs. Bed bugs are a true bug. That's what hemiopterans are, true bugs, according to the bugologists.
It's a real cop-out to just have, or maybe not a cop-out, but just the idea of like, that's not a bug. That is not a true bug. Like, why do you have to gatekeep bugs like that?
It's because having really specific terminology is helpful if you are an ultra nerd in this specific field, and outside of it, it's like, I'm really into botany, and the definition of a true nut excludes most things people call nuts. An acorn is a nut, but not a walnut.
So yeah, Ike continues his exploration. I believe at this point, he's redirected by the satellite to go and track down Leo, because Leo has gone and gotten himself killed. He has been permanently banned from the Minecraft server.
Tragic.
What if these things, like, what if that was the hologram? It was just like, he flashes up the hologram and it's just a Minecraft speed run playing, and whether or not the aliens react to it.
Putting up Coco Melon for the aliens too.
Yeah. And if they react aggressively, they are intelligent. That is the proper intelligent sapient response to that.
I was going to say the aliens immediately recognizing Coco Melon for the threat it is and just killing the robot.
iPad child, cull it.
They have their iPad playing and they will not let it happen again.
Yes. So the next thing is that Ike basically goes on his own little safari as he's going across his travels. So the first thing he finds is the Groveback, which is just imagine a two-legged turtle and then scale it up to 5 stories tall and then put a forest on its back.
I thought these were cool.
They were, but whenever we watched it, Jay, you mentioned that they are like horribly designed. Their legs are horribly designed to be carrying that much weight.
Yeah, so my obnoxious nitpick here is that the largest animals that ever lived on Earth tend to have columnar legs. Think of something like a sauropod, where the leg is very straight and it's almost directly underneath the animal so that it can passively support most of its weight. Whereas the way the Groveback is designed, it's essentially squatting, which we see like more splayed legs on animals like salamanders and insects, where they're so small that they get more stability from that gait, but they weigh so little it doesn't really matter that they're squatting. They're not really getting a calorie punishment there. But for something this big, you'd want columnar legs.
Gotcha.
I also don't know why it's dragging its ass. That's a little weird.
Yeah, it does have a tail that is permanently dragging in the ground behind it. For me, I don't know why they have a mouth, because they are described as getting nutrients absorbed through their skin, but it very clearly has a mouth because we see it in a little bit screaming in agony.
An animal that big absorbing nutrients through its skin?
Yeah. It also describes the plants living on its back as contributing like just enough sugar to allow it to... They describe it as jump starting it so that it can walk to a new area to set down.
That's more interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, like a nice little symbiosis.
Just shunting sugar into the big idiot's skin. Hey, we're not getting enough nutrients here.
Let's go.
They did have a dormancy period where they were just kind of like lying down and they looked like part of the landscape with a bunch of plants growing on them. And then eventually they're like, I'm out, bye. And they emerge, which is definitely a very cool visual.
It is. And then next, we get my absolute favorite part, the part that has lodged in my brain ever since I was a kid. Are these realistic? No, they are very likely the least realistic creature. Are they absolutely the coolest? Hell yeah. Because we get the flying skewers. These are organic jet fighters.
Oh, I wonder why this was your favorite. It's a mystery.
Imagine it like these things are they're jet black. They have the closest aircraft comparison I could say is like the German Gotha 229 flying wing, except add a tail to that and add like a giant spike on the front. These things have 2 jet engines on either wing. They have a giant skewer out the front, and they are predators. And the way they do that is they swoop in on a prey, they spear it, and they immediately go straight up in the air. And the reason why, a biologist points out that if you are a flying creature, having a prey hanging way out in front of you is bad because your center of gravity will get all messed up. So they immediately go into a slam dive straight up to keep their center of gravity. And they're like drinking up the juices of the prey as that's happening. And we see 2 of them and they're doing aerobatics because they're sharing dinner. One of them will like drop the animal and the another will swoop in and spear it. And they do this like 3 or 4 times before they just drop its shriveled husk.
So romantic.
I was literally about to say so romantic.
Yeah, maybe it's a pair bond.
Yeah, hawks do stuff
They
like
do this creature so dirty.
Yeah, and then these creatures get shot out of the sky so much in this show. They basically exist. They exist the way like
they're the helicopter. They're the helicopter of this show.
Oh yeah.
They exist to be a jobber, you know? They just exist to be exploded.
And if you want to display that something is a badass, you have it kill the helicopter. You show something threatening, and then you show something else killing it, which is why every threatening thing in this show is introduced killing a skewer. It happens a bunch of times. Actually, Ike gets saved from skewers multiple times and never realizes it. So he goes through a couple more, like, I'll kind of rapid fire these because the show rapid fires them. He goes on more of a safari as he's trying to get to Leo. And he sees, like, there's these little jet darter scavenger things. They basically look like they're maybe a foot long, and they just look like cones. They're just red. There is no explanation of what they are, how they fly.
They are another jet airplane type organism.
So I did want to ask, because you mentioned it earlier. You mentioned that the book had a short description of what was going on with the skewers. How does Wayne Barlow describe them flying?
So we were talking about whether or not it was like whether the jet they were like burning some kind of fuel for jet propulsion, or if they were using like a fan. And the answer it is that they're using like a wheel, essentially a bone and gristle wheel. I'm like looking in the book for it now because I didn't put a Post-it in because I ran out of Post-its. Damn it. But yeah, so it is a situation where there is something rotating inside that pushes the air through very rapidly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it works better than igniting something inside you.
That is also fair. I don't know, bombardier beetles do it easy enough.
They ignite it behind them. they make the water water boil behind them so it doesn't actually get
Quinn,
on them.
Say it correctly. Say it French.
Bombardier.
Thank you.
Yeah. Beetle brought to you by Bombardier. I would trust, I think a bombardier beetle is cool. A bombardier beetle would be like a shoddily made beetle. A bombardier beetle would detonate itself.
This just makes me think of like a perfume, an aerosol perfume, but you spray it on yourself and it's boiling water. It's a hypergolic fluid.
O to T stuff and O to C stuff.
O to the 2nd degree burn.
So he sees a couple more things. There's lightning mushrooms now. There are mushrooms that also make lightning. And we see like hundreds of these jet darter little fly. The jet darters, I've decided, imagine if a mouse cursor was red and it flew around, is
They're
how
so
I would
cute.
describe them.
I like them.
What, the darters?
And
Yeah,
we
they're
see
cute.
them getting killed. For some reason, they are flying in between the lightning mushrooms. And they are, for them, this is like the Battle of the Somme. They are getting massacred by these lightning mushrooms. And then we get another introduction to a weird creature that it doesn't linger on. a groveback, one of the big, friendly, gentle giant walking turtle things, it accidentally takes a step into the death zone, which is an area filled with what are called beach quills. These are little spikes, they burrow in the ground, and when they detect something, they shoot up into the air through some unknown means, they stab into it, and they deliver a powerful neurotoxin that kills it.
R.I.P.
I don't know, I think this is cool, but it's also like, I don't know, I would have appreciated more info on these. This area that we're in right now is kind of just, Ike sees a thing, Ike moves on. Ike sees a thing, Ike moves on.
Quinn, you know by now that we're stuff happening watchers.
Yeah, but like other parts of this movie are not a stuff happening movie. Other parts have some actual like stakes to them. Specifically, if Ike wants to get to Leo, he's going to have to cross the sea. The only problem is Darwin 4 doesn't have a sea, or it shouldn't have a sea. All of the evidence from Earth points to the fact that Darwin 4's oceans evaporated a long time ago, which is why its atmosphere is this like damp, oxygen-rich kind of fog. But it does have something approaching a sea, which is like is a giant amoeba. It is a giant colony of amoebic creatures. Listener, picture this. Imagine the Atlantic Ocean filled to the brim with blueberry jam. That is what this looks like. It's got the consistency. It attacks you the same way blueberry jam does. It absorbs and dissolves small creatures the same way blueberry jam does.
How long has your blueberry jam been in your fridge?
I may have watched not The Thing, not the what's the horror movie with the ooze? Is it the ooze?
There are quite a few with the goo.
Yeah. I may have watched The Stuff recently, and it got on my mind.
But yeah, it's like a beach. You go to the beach of the amoebic sea, and it has a skim. So the waves have skim.
Yeah.
It's all being held together by like an exterior cuticle because it's all one animal.
And you just see, Newton just poking at it.
Kind of the texture of like if you leave Jell-O out for too long and it develops a thick skin on top.
It's the pudding skin sea.
It's the best part.
That makes it so unappetizing to predators because it's got that weird mouthfeel they don't like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Ike is crossing this sea, and it does reveal itself to be a predator because whenever it detects something flying above, it extrudes these columns out. In Ike's case, he's too big. It just kind of punches him a couple of times. But we see later with small creatures, they can actually, like, it can shoot up a column of just goop, and then they fly into it, and then they are digested. So Ike is flying across this sea, and he gets caught in a couple of storms. I think there's like 3 storms total that he gets caught in. And every single time the satellite is only able to give him like 10 seconds of heads up. It is not able to get, he is not getting a weather forecast.
Poor Ike. Von Braun not doing its job.
Like Von Braun has less of a job to do now. It's only babysitting one toddler. Maybe is the Von Braun a neglectful parent to have lost 2 kids already?
I was about to compare it to a fucking like narcissistic parent. Yeah.
Von Braun vicariously living through Ike.
Well, it is named after a Nazi.
Well,
which could mean nothing.
It's just up there looking at its stupid kids.
Cracking open a bottle of wine.
My stupid kids whom I hate.
What if Balboa was its favorite, and ever since then it's just kind of like, oh, fuck, I'm left with Ike. I fucking hate Ike. So Ike gets caught in another storm, and these are cool. I think they're kind of just doing some like Inspector Gadget shit with Ike now, because he has grapple hooks. He's got 4 grappling hooks that he's able to like shoot out of himself to lock himself down on like a rocky outcropping to survive this storm. And then, just as like all of this death-defying action is building up, as Ike is getting like bashed back and forth against the rocks and the storm and this debris, the show thinks it is a good time to throw in a random Michio Kaku quote, and he tells us this, like drags all of the tension to a screeching halt for this.
I would hope that when we discover life in outer space, what we take with us is the fact that life is precious. Life is so precious.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome.
My inspirational quotes calendar is at it again.
So, life being precious and that being done, we get back to Ike surviving the storm, and At first, I thought this was like, whenever I watched this as a kid, I false memoried myself into the rocky outcropping turning out to be a sea strider. But it turns out that two of them just kind of show up. So these are another one of like the very famous creatures to come out of this documentary. They're about 7 stories tall. They are described as the biggest creatures ever seen anywhere, far bigger than anything even observed on Earth.
For having, apparently good sensors, these robots suck at seeing things.
Yes. Also, again, Ike is being hunted by a hunting party of somethings across the sea, and they also survived the storm somehow.
Oh, also, now you kind of see it for the first time. I thought they just decided to do the easy thing of, hey, we accidentally sent over a carbon copy of the native life form. Because I thought I saw it had like the same kind of face.
Okay, I think we see later on that some of them have different markings on their faces. And I didn't know whether that was like paint or just like kind of personalized bioluminescence. So Ike, he encounters sea striders, and these are these giant bipeds. They're these giant walking creatures. They have mouths on their feet. Their feet are massive. And they have this giant, it's not an eye, it looks like an eye, but it's this giant orange glowing thing on their heads. The show helpfully describes it as an energy source, which I don't know what to do with.
I assume it's another one of the spots that's supposed to be glowing in infrared. In which I don't know why any of these spots would be glowing in visible light along with infrared. I feel like if you want to make a spot, like a heat spot, to be picked up by heat pit organs, you could just like, I don't know, put a bunch of blood vessels in it and call it a day.
And these are also, again, like they eat with, I do like the concept of these things. They eat with their feet and they constantly just kind of pace around the amoebic sea. Every time they take a step, they take a big bite, and that is just able to sustain them.
Yeah, these guys are real cool.
And they also give back to the sea because they produce a load of little flying nymph young, like basically just gnats are constantly flying around these things. And the amoebic sea, these are the creatures that the amoebic sea is eating because they're very cute, they're very tiny, but we see a lot of babies get eaten, which is a theme for this show.
A theme for real life.
Yeah, it turns out babies very nutritious.
They literally get D&D. They fall into the cube.
Yeah. Yeah, if it was the size of the Indian Ocean.
And I also want to point this out. I know I mentioned it before, but Ike is being hunted, and every now and then we hear the sonar
this
call.
This is like the 5th time you've mentioned
yes,
it.
I know he's being hunted.
You're like obsessed
because it's a big part of the plot that the story does not actually
I know, but it's
like...
just so funny it's just so funny to me because it's like look, Quinn, I'm the guy to like absorb things out of context, right? So like if I only kept hearing you say he's being hunted by predators, like you're just sitting there like enthusiastic about it, like he's being hunted by these animals.
But the thing I actually want to point out here is that, again, like the sonar call of these creatures that are hunting him, it scares the sea striders. Whenever he hears the sound of the thing hunting him, both of the sea striders turn around and look at it. Like whatever this creature is, it is enough to frighten even the biggest creatures on this planet, which is also a horrible thing if you're a predator because everything knows to fear you. So, but yeah, he follows these two sea skimmers, sea striders. He just kind of walks across the ocean with them. And by this point, like now that he's made it across, he is back where Leo was. So Leo, he found that Unth herd. He saw those bladder horns fighting. This is the same area that Ike now winds up at. Also, Michio Kaku makes another return. We're near the end of the documentary, which means that the famous guys need to come back. All through the middle section has just been like professor of biology. And now we get to like the famous theoretical physicists. George Lucas comes back. But yeah, Michio gives us this.
The science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke said that there either is or is not intelligent life in outer space. However, either thought is frightening.
There is or there isn't.
Okay. Cool, buddy.
Cool, you've covered every possible base.
Again, doesn't This doesn't really tie into anything happening in the mockumentary right
No.
now.
You just had to say it.
In the same way that they clearly got the biologists to like, they showed them the CGI and then just said like, all right, go, just riff. For the famous people, they clearly just asked them a couple of like cookie cutter questions like, what do you think about alien life? And they are all just off to the races. I know I'm particularly fixating on Michio Kaku here, but like there are equally inane answers from Stephen Hawking, from George Lucas, of just kind of going like, I think at one point there's a different scientist who says something along the lines of like, like life evolved a certain way on Earth, but if things had happened differently, then things would have evolved differently. And that's like, whoa.
Whoa. So
yeah,
true.
it's like if
Whoa.
the example he gives is, well, if the meteor that killed the dinosaurs hadn't landed, then it wouldn't have killed the dinosaurs, and the dinosaurs wouldn't have got killed.
Pushes my glasses up. The dinosaurs are still here. They're called birds.
There's this thing called evolution.
Yeah, and as we've established, birds are absolutely freaky, and they breathe wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I broke my arm. Time to
Listen,
suffocate.
I believe in objective evolution, which means that however I have personally evolved is the correct way, and any other species is just, they're getting there. They're trying their best. Actually, wait, no, I just realized that attitude would be like human supremacist in any sci-fi series.
Yeah, that's
Wait,
human
no.
chauvinism, baby.
It only works if I'm thinking in like an Earth context, because like we are the dominant species, but yeah, beyond that, oh, never mind. Maybe I got some tendencies I need to watch.
Damn, Quinn.
Yeah.
You piece of shit. You fucking anthro
I think the
show.
dominant species is nematodes because there's way more of them than us.
Whoa. So Ike has now made his way. He's kind of gone back through all of Leo's steps. He sees the unthird. He sees the same bladder horn that he saw. And as soon as that Michio Kaku quote is done, a skewer lines up on him. So one of these jet fighters is coming in to kill Ike. And just as it does, a spear is thrown from off screen and like skewers it and kills it.
Another victim of making somebody else look cooler.
Exactly. We have to establish that like these guys are badasses. So like not only have we found intelligent life, we have found intelligent life that is so sick nasty that it can shoot down a fighter jet with a spear. It is making me like, I don't think any human could accurately hit a swooping bird of prey with a thrown, like with a bow and arrow. So these things are good, not to mention they're using sonar.
I'm sure somebody could, but they would be a very talented exception.
Time to poke a hole. If, what you're aiming at is lined up on something, it's not like they're going to be flying an unpredictable path.
Yeah, but like,
But still, yeah,
don't take this from that guy. Yeah, the thing I'm trying to like latch on to or fixate on is like, forget the whole intelligent life stuff. I want to meet the one that threw that spear because that guy's a badass.
He's fucking cool.
But yeah, like, and again, all through these scenes, anytime one of these skewers gets shot down, it immediately gets dragged off. They really don't want to show us the sapiens, the creatures that have been doing the hunting. And Ike just kind of slowly follows it. It's constantly like pulling the skewer over around a corner just as he gets there. And he eventually finds Leo's battered corpse. And I did really like this part. He finds Leo's corpse and he finds some of his camera drones in a circle of stones. Like something has built a little shrine or some kind, not a shrine, but like something has been built, like warding rocks or something around this strange alien robot thing.
Yeah, it was interesting.
They came to our planet and started making this documentary. Like,
Yeah.
what were we supposed to do?
It's just blaring Michio Kaku quotes out of the loudspeaker.
Okay,
God,
I hate how
kill
you
it.
reached into my brain for that one. Like, these things heard Michio Kaku's voice for the first time and said no.
Life is precious. Immediate spear through the head. Nope. No. I think I mentioned before though, like if an alien approached me, this like monumental first contact situation, and their first response was to give me a little math quiz, I would leave. I would walk away. I'm not doing that shit.
They give you
Like,
a timetable from elementary school. I'm going
like,
to go get my gun.
Here's a multiplication table. Nope, not worth it. Not worth. Tell them my entire planet is stupid. I'm not doing this.
don't trust this robot. He speaks lies.
Yeah, I am non-sapient by choice because I don't want to do any of the little Turing test bullshit required to prove my sapience.
Has any creature ever wanted key performance indicators? No. I don't want to be in the office.
Yeah, giving them giving an alien a quarterly performance review.
It does make me wonder what the EO sapiens are actually seeing when they project this little holographic math quiz at them, though, because they're seeing only infrared. So this is like a visual light projection. What are they actually seeing? Because they do react to it. Maybe they're just like looking at the heat that's being projected by the actual like projector lens, or like that's coming from the projector lens, going, I wonder why that got warmer. Totally oblivious to the visible light math problem in front of them. That'd be fun.
But the one of them does solve the math problem. So like Ike encounters these EO sapiens, and these are at least the ones that we are seeing, the intelligent sapient life forms on planet Darwin. And they are described as having intelligence around that of early humans. I like their design. They look kind of like a Medusa, like a man-o'-war kind of jellyfish.
With arms.
They have a big gas bladder on their head. They've got arms, but all of their fingers are long, horrible tentacles. And they've got these gas bladders for like moving around that for the, I could not see them as anything other than giant cow udders is how they look and how they are situated on these creatures. But they also have this like bioluminescent face markings that they are able to light up. So however they see it, Ike gives them the intelligence test, and one of the creatures responds properly. Like it does the math. It properly answers the intelligence test. And everything seems to be going great. Everything seems to be going wonderfully. And then Ike launches a fucking camera drone, which is the one thing we know that pisses off these creatures. And he is immediately dogpiled and murdered.
Yeah, they go feral for those drones.
Yeah, one of them, there are 3 of them surrounding Ike whenever he launches the drones. One of them, we get a view from the drone of his death. One of them reaches up, grabs the drone, and starts kind of fighting it, while the 2 other EO sapiens surround Ike and they drag him off to their lair. And he's described as being dead because the Von Braun loses his transmission at that point. Hooray!
He's getting brought to the...
He got fucking wasted.
Another dead toddler.
The toddler's being brought to the Squid KGB now.
A completely depopulated Minecraft server.
Yeah, another abandoned Minecraft server. Tragic.
Robux that will never be spent.
Oh.
No. Man, I'm trying to think of what the baby shoes never worn could be for these iPad kids.
Camera drones never launched.
Spider drone, yeah.
Oh, the spider drones that are still inside of our boy.
Oh yeah, they're just going down with the ship, huh?
Yep. And despite that, this is where there is a drastic and rapid change of tone, because I think everyone in this documentary thought it was going to have like a positive, uplifting message, because all of the talking heads that we leave with in this documentary are like, discovering life on another planet will be such a huge experience for us. It will be so life-changing. It will alter human civilization. It's like, I just watched a toddler get brutally torn apart in hand-to-hand combat. I don't know what I'm supposed to be feeling. Like, I'm sad for my boy Ike.
This is like space a dingo ate my baby. It does not feel good.
No.
From a narrative standpoint, I can understand why it's like, okay, well, the documentary has to end eventually, and the drones all being disabled is a natural ending point. But from an emotional narrative perspective, it's a bit depressing to end it on that note.
Ike is the main character, and this movie ends with the main character being brutally killed.
Over something we don't understand?
Yeah, over a complete misunderstanding. Like, multiple times, we see that the EO sapiens, they consider the little camera drones to be a threat. Anytime they get launched, we see these sonar views from the hunting parties, and they all immediately scatter and hide behind the ridges. Whether Von Braun knew it or not, like, Von Braun probably should have been able to put it together and tell Ike that, because it happens to Leo, like, I think Leo comes back to life at one point as he's being dragged around in the dirt, and he fires a camera drone, and that camera drone is immediately speared out of the sky. So, like, maybe they could have figured it out, but they're 4-year-olds.
Well,
yeah, but the supercomputer AI should have figured it out.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe the supercomputer AI is like an 8-year-old. We don't know the scale.
That's even more depressing.
Yeah. What if the Von Braun is 13 years old and it has been given like its basic babysitter certification course that I did one time?
It's the mod.
And all of its kids are gone.
Yeah, we have outfitted the Von Braun with the best of technology and the best training. We have given it Asimov's law of robotics, and all of the probes will have to share that copy. I wonder, like, the law of robotics would... I know it's like, oh, you can't allow a human to come to harm and whatnot, but, like, that would have to just get changed to person once aliens are a thing. But anyway, yeah, like, despite having our main character, our MC, brutally killed off right at the end...
While we are in mourning...
Yeah, while I am in mourning over my sweet little boy getting killed in front of me, Michio Kaku comes back with this.
Perhaps you could breed octopus with the capability of speech, the capability of handing down information, and perhaps even another race of intelligent beings on the planet Earth.
Yeah, I guess you could.
Thanks, buddy.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you
want
could.
to.
Can someone check Michio Kaku's basement right now? Does he have like a bunch of fish tanks down there?
Oh no.
Does he have a Roblox server?
Yeah, and again, these are going to be the first these are going to be the first interstellar space travelers. They are Michio Kaku's home-raised octopus children. They have been uplifted. They don't know about their lifespan. We're not going to tell them that.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. And there are other talking heads. I've fixated on Michio Kaku, but like George Lucas comes back and he's just like, God, it's such a great time to be alive. You know, like there's exploring and being alive is great. So yeah. Stephen Hawking also comes back to say some, like, he's saying some theoretical physics stuff, which is true and is meaningful and whatnot, but like this is a biology documentary.
Yeah, this is just kind of like the other 15 minutes of the recording time they had with the most expensive guests.
Yeah. It would have been hilarious. I know, like you're just seeing Stephen Hawking sitting in the chair and there's just like a bunch of dollar bills shoved in one pocket.
Just like in his collar.
Yeah. All right. Steve, they just come up and just kind of poke it in. There you go, Mr. Hawking.
Thank you for appearing.
But yeah, with that... The documentary, the mockumentary, the movie, whatever it is over. We have followed the story of the Von Braun expedition to the planet Darwin 4. We have watched all of its assorted toddler crew murdered or killed in various horrible ways. One of them, I mean, Balboa got the best death, honestly. Balboa died on re-entry.
Are you kidding? He was never truly awake. He just burned in hard.
Yeah, but assuming they weren't conscious on the 42-year journey, Balboa never turned on.
He was graced with never having to experience this documentary.
I know, like, oh, they're talking about the AI and the IQ of a 4-year-old roughly and whatnot, but like 2005 and 2026 is a very different time and a very different understanding of what AI means. And like, I would absolutely love it in a modern version of this where it's like, one of the probes we trained Balboa on Claude. What did we train Ike on? ChatGPT. Leo, the risk taker, the dumb one, we trained him with Grok.
Awesome.
As someone who started writing a science fiction story with AI, the science fiction concept in it, before the AI boom in real life, I'm very annoyed at how the term has been co-opted to mean something that is very different.
Yeah, just kind of like a weird documentary overall. Like, it definitely does, like, a lot of the animals from Wayne Barlow's book do make it in, and they're not, like, correct me if I'm wrong, they're not modifying a lot of these creatures, how they are presented.
Yeah, the one thing that kind of throws me is that you mentioned the Eosapien actually solving the light puzzle, which makes me think, well, then they would have to have a form of true eyes, which is a modification. But that's the only like major change I can think of.
Right.
So yeah, it's not the book has a lot more animals in it, but of course they're not going to show all of them in the mockumentary because there's too many. They have a limited budget. It's the setup is very different, but the animals are pretty accurate to the book, so that's cool. I do love this book and this documentary, even though they're weird and I like to nitpick them. I like seeing weird things kind of come to life and be realized, even if they have a relatively limited audience of people who are interested in them, and everybody else needs to be tempted in by George Lucas appearing to say a platitude in the first 30 minutes.
Just saying a platitude like, someone on set has a gun pointed at him. I love life. Isn't life great?
It would be very easy for me to go on TV and say like, oh, it's such a great time to be alive if I was a billionaire or a multi-millionaire or whatever he is.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like, I don't doubt that it is a great time to be alive for George Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you're worth $5 billion.
And you sold your property to Disney, yeah.
You sold your soul.
And just like, I don't know, I have to imagine a lot of people got into speculative biology through this documentary. Like, it's one of those things where like I can make fun of science communicators, but I still recognize their value. Like a lot of these talking heads, they were the people who were better at talking to cameras. They were the people who were better at boiling a message down and making it, like the Neil deGrasse Tysons, the Bill Nyes. And then, yeah, you do have a mix in with actual, like, relevant professionals. There are the entire middle section of the movie is dominated by biology professors. So, like, I can make fun of this, but I do think it's a net good to be seeing scientific documentaries that do try and explain stuff. And
yeah,
maybe this was a gateway drug for a lot of people to get into biology, speculative biology, whatever.
That is a good point.
I'm clearly biased, but I think that speculative biology can be an excellent gateway for learning more about how life on planet Earth works, and like the trying to puzzle out how to make a different animal and what would work and what doesn't, and what are the real life examples of versus what is purely speculative, and like just kind of like the process of figuring out how something works is like that's part of science, and it can help you understand and appreciate more things about life on Earth.
And I think it's kind of cool, like piggybacking off what you said there, that it has like a creative element to it. Like you, Jay, you world built the biology for your entire setting. That's a creative exercise. Like speculative biology, it's guided by what people know of biology, but it's ultimately like, I'm going to go out and make stuff. Wayne Barlow wanted to make his aliens as alien as possible. I think because he said he was like tired of, I don't know, it feels kind of funny that he then got George Lucas on, because George Lucas aliens are exactly what he was complaining about. Every single alien just being a human with some face makeup.
Or a guy with a funny mask on.
Yeah.
There's certainly a place for those kinds of aliens in science fiction, but I do feel like I prefer representations that try and reach for something less humanoid, because I think realistically, aliens are not going to vaguely resemble us. There might be some commonalities, because if we're talking about sapient aliens, we're basically describing an animal that evolved into the same niche as us, which is industrialized ecosystem engineers with complex language and social systems. So there would be some similarities just in that, but I don't think they're necessarily going to be sexy cat ladies with blue skin.
Damn it.
Sorry, I'm always throwing shade at Avatar for this. It pisses me off.
You did that in the watch party too. This is a consistent thing.
I'm always attacking Avatar unprovoked.
Yeah.
There are some things I like in Avatar.
Hey,
and actually,
maybe they just deserve it.
Actually, the non-humanoid aliens in the Avatar movie series are partially designed by the guy who wrote this book, Wayne Douglas Barlow. He's a pretty big name in creature design in the industry.
Okay.
I wish I could remember more of his work off the top of my head. I can only remember the other solo thing that he worked on as opposed to like movie stuff. But he does a series where he wrote books about that are set in hell. where hell
Oh, okay.
had a previous ecosystem in it before fallen angels arrived, and he does some really
What?
like insane, creepy, surreal creature designs for the native
Hellish
denizens.
speculative evolutionary biology is such a cool idea. Like how whether demons or not, like that rules. That is so cool.
The native denizens of hell, though, they kind of have like the same like leathery, very tactile, surreal, vivid quality that his artwork has in Expedition.
Okay.
But they also have things like floating, glowing sigils around them, or limbs that taper to nothing and then taper back out again, like impossible weight structures. It's so fun.
Something evolving a non-Euclidean structure into itself, because that's just how reality works down there.
Yeah, I like seeing that kind of thing in fantasy, because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you have a new rule set. You can do weird new things.
And even fantasy, I think, kind of falls into like maybe that was his attempt to do for fantasy what he did for sci-fi, because so much like Tolkien stuff is humans but with pointy ears, humans but short, humans but shorter, humans but green, and like so on and so forth.
Yeah,
like,
Tolkien is much
mix
more.
it up, get weird.
Tolkien is much more about kind of like human politics and human folklore, as opposed to something like this, which is more focused on just kind of like speculative evolution, if you will.
Yeah. And yeah, I guess that is as good a place to end it as any. So, audience, listeners, that has been the 2005 Discovery Channel documentary Alien Planet, based off of Wayne Barlow's 1990 book, Expedition. I would highly recommend you check out both, although if you are trying to find the Discovery documentary, the only full-length one on YouTube is like 420p. It's bad.
It makes the old CGI look better.
Yeah. And Jay, thank you again. Thank you so much for coming on. Is there anywhere that people can find your work or anything that you would like to point them towards?
Yeah, well, if you want to see more speculative biology and weird aliens, you should check out my comic at runawaytothestars.com. And if you like the comic, then you should check out the link below and be notified when the print run for launches on Kickstarter.
Yeah, audience, definitely go do that. So yeah, listener, thank you so much. And until next time, goodbye.
Farewell.
Goodbye.
Adios.
Thank you to everyone who have signed up to support the show. A big shout out to all of our top tier patrons. Our sideboard cats are Asho Rin, Boss, Kataiga Reptile, Charlie, Comrade Sleepy Bro, Daniel F, Graham E, Jesselyn T, Jorg 2, Schelpen Schapen and Hitsone Scheveningen. I will have my revenge on the Dutch, by the way. Joss, Kamo, Lane of the Wired, Matt, Mobius Striptease, Murray Motorsports, Mysterious Stranger, Number Negative, General Incoherent Screaming. Sorry, I'm not doing that. Oil Drum, Pat, Paul C, Rare Scrungle Spingus 3rd Edition, Skylab Bricks, Source Force, Spectre Cohen, Tortilla Baron, Vivek D, and Wingsmith. Our space dogs are a Union Thug, A. Blinkan, Akiogo, Ariel Badger Release, Agent Carter, Alex, Alice N, Andrew K, Angie, Angry Old Man Yada Yada, Anthony C, Atomic Hobbit, Otto Fox, Avocado Assassin, Baron M, Bat Bay, Ben L, Big Meg, Binary Badger, Beanie, Boomzilla, Boring Brian, Brian L, C, Cantaloupe Was Taken, Chainsaw Snuggling, Charlotte M, Chris K, Christian K, Clay M, Cole C, Captain Lag, Dad Bongo, Daniel, Darth Baby, David L, Des Smiley, Dom K, Drain Damage, Dr. Shockmaster, Duke of New York, Hank, Aaron, Eric J, FBH, Fractal Moonlight, Furious Luddite, George B, Grant K, Griffin, former snow shoveler of Burger King, Heiko S, Howl's Moving Pictures by Rush. I heard Stephen Miller is a pedophile. Isn't that crazy? I hope you have a good day. Ian R, Iggy Noramis, JMM, James A, James C, James T, Jamie K, Jarl Breadmaker, Jerry M, Jedediah D, Joanne's Man, Miss You Forever, John C, John E, John Boy D, Johnny Terrors, Jonathan G, Jonathan W, John Tastic 286, Joseph RH, Just Morse, Kate B, Kate D, King Bun, Corbin the Dog, Crusty, Lens Wipe, Lorgath, Luke O, Majestic Affect, Man Who Is Average, Mar, Marigold Muskrat, Marto, Mech Girl Alley, Michael C, Michelin Star Blemtro, Mish, Mr. Dr. John, Moomin Instrumentality Project, Narrow Ebb, Nelly W, New Name, Nicholas S, Nick, Nick S, Norman W, Northeast Driver, NSFW NSA, Outlook Cub, P Vector, Panda, Pat S, Patron, P, Poopbutt, Randall, Ray H, RBK, Rayto B, Riley, Robert G, Sailor of Fortune, Scott K, Sean F, Sean H, Central Kazoo, Sean P, Silly Vixen, Skyhawk, Something, Sparks, Spirit of Thunder, Starlight Foxalope, Swanee, The Best Sean, Thomas M, Tim P, Toasty Ken, Trash D, Verash T, Brisk, Will W, William O, William P, Winston P, Wouter S, Zachary J. Zap, Zemo, Zim, and Zombie Dwarf. Albert Count 214, Albert Count 214. Thank you for listening to another episode of Failure to Launch. If you want to follow us, we are Failure to Launch on Blue Sky and FT Launch Pod on Instagram. We also post our episodes with visual aids at Failure to Launch Podcast on YouTube. FTL intro and outro themes were provided by DJ Danarchy.